This year, I want just one thing over the festive period, a nice, short prison sentence. Why? Because a spell in jail would be immeasurably preferable to facing life on the streets, homeless. I know this because I have been both homeless and in prison before. I was educated in the UK public school system, and being sent away to a tough 1980s boarding school aged 7 made my 3-month prison term seem like a negligible hardship. Once I had been through the ordeal of police custody, court and processing, and had survived the first 2 weeks, I found I had no real fear of life behind bars. Inside, I got a job easily, was treated by the prison officers with care and respect, got fed hot meals twice daily and could watch TV. I was warm, dry, secure and safe. Contrast this with what this time of the year will hold for me on the streets. 3 weeks ago, I lost my full-time, minimum wage job making coffee on a mobile street stand following the owner's abrupt decision to close the business. Because of the precarious long-term viability of the business and the cash-in-hand pay, I was unable to commit to a rental contract. I stayed in ebbs and struggled to make ends meet due to the extortionate cost of short-term London rent. When I was made redundant with a day's notice, my world collapsed around me. Night shelters are little different to the Victorian workhouse. They are noisy, smelly, dangerous and difficult to get into. In summer, homeless life can be tolerable, even entertaining. The 8 weeks I spent living in Hyde Park in a tent hidden among bushes, surviving mostly on custard cream biscuits bought with coins fished out of the fountain or the surprisingly rich pickings uncovered in the bins of Green Park, were memorable. But in winter, life on the streets is awful. Night shelters are little different to the Victorian workhouse. They are noisy, smelly, dangerous and difficult to get into. To access them, you have to be found up to 3 times sleeping on the streets by an outreach team. This is generally negotiated with the team in advance, so you have to sleep somewhere pre-arranged. I was first criminalized in July 2014 for harassment, via email. After being handed a suspended sentence, I went away and traveled across Europe as a tramp, violated the restraining order, and flew back to the UK to be questioned by police. Within 3 days of landing at Heathrow, I was in prison. But just over 2 weeks after that, I had become the prison library orderly and established a routine of sorts. I enjoyed having a job and thrived on the structure and boundaries imposed by prison life. In May 2015, I was released back into homelessness with £47.90 in my pocket and no clue about what to do next. I spent the first night drunk, sleeping in a bus shelter. I found life outside much harder to navigate than the one I'd had in prison, and ever since a return to jail has been a constant, niggling temptation. It's a place where, at least for me, life is far more straightforward. The key issue is one of respect. Once you are in prison, you aren't treated like shit.